Let's go to one of our old friends, Woody Plankfest himself, dear old Ben Shapiro, or as we call him, Jesse Waters, if you threw him in a dryer and put him on tumble, on high heat, and he shrunk. This is him going after Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The left's new hero is a human smuggler. Now, the video that came out of him that they're using, everyone, is him driving everybody to a job site. They don't have bags. They don't in the car and that kind of stuff, which people who are smuggling often do. They have all of their belongings with them. He was driving a group of people to a job site. Now, were they undocumented workers working at a job site? Probably. But were they being smuggled across the border? No, not in this case. And they're like, 9 people in a fucking car in this big, like, SUV station wagony thing. There's a bunch of people in this fucking car and none of them have any luggage. Yeah, if they did have luggage, that would be the curious part, but they didn't. So and he was like, we're all going to work, which is exactly where they were going. But anyways, this is, let's see how long Ben can be totally supportive of Donald Trump's new policies.
Meanwhile, information continues to emerge about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the hero of the left who has visited.
Again, being for the rule of law and being for due process has nothing to do with the individual. These assholes will say this stuff about free speech all the time. I disagree with you, what you have to say, but I will fight to the death to make sure you have the right to say it. And yet when you do that about due process, they're like, what are you up in arms about? When actually free speech is one thing, being, this illusion that everybody was being shut up because you lost your fucking Twitter handle is not the same thing as losing your freedom of speech, especially when the government didn't do it. But in this particular case, this man has been extrajudicially removed from the United States and isn't getting his hearing after he had previously had a hearing and they put a hold on his deportation. He had the hearing. He had due process. And the result of that due process was keep him fucking here until we get a full review. And they broomed him during that period of time because I think they're afraid that he would be allowed to stay because he's got 3 American children and a wife, and he would have a case for, being on a parolee on a path to citizenship.
A natural sitting United States senator, supposed victim of the Trump administration. Now,
supposed. I'm sorry, did somebody else drop him in an El Salvadoran prison, dipshit?
According to Breitbart News, Kilmar Abrego
oh, my goodness.
Garcia is being investigated by the DOJ after a convicted human smuggler told the FBI that he hired Abrego Garcia to smuggle illegal immigrants into the United States, according to a new report. So you guys picked the wrong victim, man. Again, the Democrats are apparently utterly incapable of saying 2 things at once.
You don't have to say 2 things at once. You can just be for due process. And you can make the point that if it can happen to him, and all they have to do is give him a hearing, but they were afraid to because the accusations are one thing. But if you can send somebody out of the country just based on accusations, then who is fucking safe, shithead? That's the whole point. If it really happened and those accusations are real and they can back them up, then a hearing would have proven that it would have been enough for an immigration judge to kick him out of the country. But they obviously didn't trust their own evidence, or they would have, because again, the video they have circulating is him driving people to a job site, that they can't prove that. And again, the idea that some dude who's busted for human smuggling isn't going to try and work a fucking deal by going, I can give you shit on Garcia. Is it true? Who gives a fuck? He's never going to get a hearing anyways. Just use it for press. Start the investigation and we'll deal with it.
Abrego Garcia should not be in the country and seems to be a quite bad person. And also, everybody is entitled to some level of due process.
But yeah, that's, again, you have to assert through due process that he is all the things you say he is. And that's the problem we have. You can besmirch his character and say he's all these awful things, or you can say that somebody who used to be in a gang, got out of the gang, became a family man, still has his tattoos because he can't afford to have them removed, has settled down even after a bad setup, but you could still arrest him for having been in a gang at one point. How about every guy who works in the inner city trying to get kids out of gangs and he's still got his tattoos? You're going to round that fucker up and go, you were part of an evil gang back in the 90s, and even though you're 60 now, we're going to throw you in jail because of your tattoos. If that's the standard, everyone is fucked. Again, if these accusations have any merit, have the fucking hearing, then bounce him. The problem isn't with the guy. The problem is with we have to, this trust me bro judicial approach that these dickheads seem okay with when, you know, for years, Alex Jones and all these assholes were telling us they're going to round all of us up and put us in camps, put us in fucking gulags, and Guantanamo's being built just so they can put right-wingers in there. Don't let them fool you. They'll tell you that's for terrorists, but why are they building an extra? Why are all these tents there, right? He'll tell you that for years. It's the Democrats, once they get in power, Obama's going to put all of us in FEMA camps. Didn't fucking happen. It's going to take all your guns. Didn't fucking happen. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, I think, why don't we take the guns and then have due process, right? And you're like...
To be fair, Republicans are also having a difficult time holding those two thoughts in place at the same time. So the Democrats are like, no, he's probably wonderful. He's a Maryland father. And then it turns out that he has been for years accused of being an MS-13 gang member.
Yeah. Do you recognize what, in due process, what side of the process are accusations? Donald Trump, for years, has been accused of being a rapist. Okay? A serial sexual assaulter. Are you cool with me calling him a rapist, now Ben Shapiro, if he's never actually been tried of the crime? Are you cool with that now? Because that's the argument here. Accusations are not convictions, nor should they be, you fucking tool.
And his wife made repeated police reports about him beating her and sought orders of protection against him.
And I've only seen one single one. If there are others, let me know.
And the DHS released...
And then it expired, and they've been fine ever since, allegedly.
A piece of body cam footage from 2022 where troopers pull over Abrego Garcia, and there were 9 people inside the car, none of whom had luggage.
Because they were going to a job site, and most people don't pack a bag to go to work.
Which looks a lot like a smuggling operation.
Looks a lot less like a smuggling operation, and looks like a bunch of people going to a job site.
But, yeah, again, because everything is stupid, we can't hold two ideas at once. So...
You do realize none of us carry the burden of your idiocy, right?
Senator Lankford from Oklahoma, he has come under fire, James Lankford, for saying the obvious here, which is that Kilma Abrego Garcia should not be in the country, and also, even illegal immigrants have certain rights to due process. That does not amount to like a full jury trial. Typically, before you're deported, you have a hearing before a judge, and then we throw you out.
Congratulations, Ben. You have just articulated the Democratic viewpoint. You've just done it through James Lankford. You spent the beginning of this, like a minute of this, lying about the Democratic position about this, and then creating this sort of fiction that everybody's just brushing aside anything bad he might have done. And if they bring up the fact that he's a father, and that might be evidence that he turned his life around, or that he might have been in a gang and he stopped being in a gang, or any of that kind of stuff, that is, and that his wife wants him back, might be indicative of the actual circumstance at present versus the past. And that's meaningful. I mean, if you believe in that good old Judeo-Christian American value. So, again, Lankford's just saying what Democrats have been saying.
That's what due process amounts to. Here was...
It's literally what Van Hollen said when he went down to see him.
Lankford.
What's been confusing on this is some people see due process like as an American citizen. That's a right to a jury trial. That's all those different things. That's not true for due process for someone who's not a citizen of the United States. It's a different process. It's often just literally what people call an immigration judge is not a typical federal judge or a state judge. This is someone that's in the bureaucracy that they're tasked for DA.
By the way, am I the only person thinking like Lurch's younger brother? Like, is this what Lurch looked like before he, like when he was a kid? Sorry.
Yes, is that task on it. So they're a government employee career. That's an immigration judge. So it's a very different process for it. But yes, there's a need to be able to give an opportunity for someone to be able to make an argument before they're removed in the country.
Okay, so apparently this is too much. This very, very moderate statement that Lankford is making here, which is saying that there are actual procedures for deporting people, and you're supposed...
Which is what Democrats are saying.
Follow those procedures, and
right, which is what Democrats are saying.
We'll hold that. This was apparently too much for some people on the right who...
Oh, weird. So not Democrats. This wasn't too much for Democrats. This wasn't exactly in line with everybody's sensible view on this shit. Even if they like the guy, even if they are willing to look past his past, or even if they hate what he did and went, fuck him, anybody once a wife beater, always a wife beater, and are willing to hold that against them, they're still holding the line on due process is how shit is done. And we all know that a trial is not a hearing. Everybody apparently knows this except Donald Trump, who keeps calling it a trial.
We're angry and fuming. Cat Turd, who, again, amazing to me that a person who calls himself Cat Turd has wide, apparently, appeal and also impact inside the MAGA movement. But, you know, we live in a brand new world where all voices are considered equal.
You're right. Cat Turd is a DEI hire, according to Ben Shapiro.
Wise. He said, I'm so sick of these fake-ass weak cowards in the Republican Party running to fake news CNN to undermine the voters and the president. How is that undermining the voters and the president? Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. I mean, it's just directly contradicting the idiocy of Trump, and the voters didn't actually want people extrajudicially removed in the case of, you know, people who weren't criminals. They were like, we'll just broom the criminals immediately, and then, if you know, we're not going to separate families, da-da-da-da. And then once Homan gets in, he's like, no, I mean, they can always self-deport if they want to stay with their children. Again, this is exactly what they voted for. Exactly what they voted for.
Langford is in favor of the deportations. He's just saying that if you actually want to accomplish this, you have to follow the process because otherwise courts will stop you, which is true. Like, I'm sorry, but the idea that Langford is some sort of traitor for saying the obvious, which is that pursue a...
All right, you guys get the point. Fucking ouch. And everybody, you know, once the election went the way it did, I think a lot of people were like, you know, how did this, you know, like, oh, they're going to run roughshod over everything. And certainly Donald Trump is trying. But even when they do, the idea that it would be, they're going to run roughshod over everything and it's going to work out the way they thought. That's the part that I think is lost on people. That Trump's tariff shit, which we all knew was going to raise costs and all this kind of stuff. But there was still this kind of weird thing that, like, he's going to destroy everything, but his followers will continue to like it, and therefore he'll never lose that support because it's a cult and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, nope. These people are on the, you know, most of them are on the receiving end of federal dollars. The blue states pay for the red states, always have. And these trains have left the fucking station. And we're seeing a couple of these trains start there. This is them as they approach that intersection where they are timing it out to strike. They're starting to honk their, you know, like blow their horn and try to wave off people and tell the guy to switch tracks on them. And it's not fucking working. Nobody's going to do it. These trains are going to hit. No matter what Trump says.